train your Gavin. Read those books in a blink, oh yeah. Grab yourself a hot drink cause you're watching How to Train Your Gavin.
Yep, that's me.
Hey guys, welcome back to How to Train Your Gavin. Today I'm going through all of the adult books that scare me. Well, or at least I'm scared to read, either because it's intimidating or the genre it's in, things like that. All adult books, long story short, I'm scared of all of them. But I've narrowed it down to a few for several different reasons. Can somebody just give me an actual synopsis of this book, please? Because I'm really struggling here. The first book is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, and he wrote the Pigs Have Been a Wallflower, which I will admit I haven't actually read. But the inside, it doesn't really give you what this book's going to be about. And then I'm reading all of these reviews and there's not one that says what this book is actually about. Now I will say one of the reasons I'm scared to read this is because I just don't know what it's about. It is a thriller, I do know that, it's a thriller. I really want to start reading more thrillers, it's one of my 2021 goals. I'm scared to read them, I don't know why I am, because I've read the odd one or two, but never as a genre. I've never really tried to throw myself into it, and I've had this for a little while now. I got it when it was signed, so I was like, yeah, I'll get it. I've heard great things about this author, but honestly I'm looking at some Goodreads reviews, and even Chelsea from Chelsea Doll and Read said, this started off really strong, but I gotta be honest with you all, I completely stopped giving a shit about this at the 65% mark, and I'm now a little bit worried that I'm going to commit to this page length and not enjoy it. All it says is it just waffles on about imagine this. In the synopsis, I'm just like, let's not imagine. Let's just tell me what this book is about. So I'm just judging from the synopsis, I'm imagining that the main character, he has a voice, goes into the woods and goes missing for 6 days, comes back, but he's a totally different person. And yeah. That's all I know about it, really. So yeah, I don't know. I've never read The Pigs Have Been a Wallflower. This is a totally brand new author to me, so it's not like I have that attachment to him, but I still want to read it. I'm just quite scared. I've seen bad reviews, but I've also seen great reviews. Also length, also thriller. So, and also don't know what it's about really. We're off to a great start, lads. Next one I'm intimidated to read is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I've read The Hobbit, I've read the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and after I finished those I really wanted to read his other works, and this was one of them. This is one of them that I really want to read because I believe this is almost like a non-fiction kind of thing to do with Tolkien's world, you know, of Middle Earth. You know, I'm not even going to try and pronounce a lot of these things. I feel like I will just offend the Lord of the Rings fan base. But it does go through the history of the wars that have happened in Middle Earth, and, you know, gods, and all of the ancient drama. There's all of this good juicy stuff that really builds the world of Middle Earth in this, and I do really want to read it. The reason I'm kind of scared to read it is because it's been a little while now since I've read The Lord of the Rings, which you don't really need to have read. I do know there's a bit in this that mentions the events that happens in The Lord of the Rings, so it's great because I've read that, so this won't spoil it. And I don't really need the knowledge of The Lord of the Rings to go into this, because you can probably read this first. You don't have to. It depends on what you want to do. But for me, the writing's so small. This is fiction, but it's just going to be told in such a non-fiction-y kind of way. I just don't know how I'll get on with it. I really don't. Interested. I'm really interested because I love world building, and I feel like this will build that whole world of Middle Earth so much. But yeah, I'm just a bit scared. In the same vein as that, I'm also a bit scared to read Fire and Blood by J.R.R. Tolkien. By George R.R. Martin, and this one is, well, it says it's set 300 years before the events of A Game of Thrones, and a history of the Targaryen kings from Aegon the Conqueror to Aegon III. I did enjoy reading the Song of Ice and Fire what? I did enjoy reading the Song of Ice and Fire series last year, and I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with it, to be honest. And I'm not 100% sure I'm going to love this. There's just going to be a lot of facts, I think, which it's going to be fictional facts, but it's going to be facts nonetheless. And the length of it, I want to say this about every book, but the length of it is scary, man. I just feel like I'm not going to be able to take any of this in. I love the Targaryens from the Game of Thrones series and the Song of Ice and Fire series and what have you. But I don't know, it just seems like a lot, and especially since this is kind of like part one, and I'm just like, really? Again, this is just a video of me assuming the worst about these books, but rest assured, I do really want to read these books at some point. I'm just scared by them. It sounds good, I know it sounds good, but I know I'm not going to take any of it in. Okay, one that's really short. It's not like a big epic book or anything like that. But that is Jaws by Peter Benchley. And I'm scared to read this one because I am terrified of the movie. The opening scene of Jaws scarred me as a child. I had terrifying nightmares for weeks upon weeks after watching that film. I was way too young to be watching that film. And I've never really grown out of it. I mean, I've seen the film a couple of times since then, and it hasn't been as terrifying. But it's something inside of me when Jaws starts playing where I just feel this dread. And it's like, it's almost like a response that I can't control whenever the film comes on. So I don't know what I'm going to be like reading this book. I really don't. I'm really excited to because I'd love to compare it to the movie. I am really loving my horrors this year as well. And I know you're thinking, Gav, you just said that you don't really read thrillers. Like, why are you reading? Look, I'm a walking contradiction. I don't know. I can't understand myself. I don't expect you to understand me either. But yeah, this is set in a very like seaside kind of town, and it's a very touristy place, and there is a killer shark on the loose. The film was directed by Steven Spielberg, I believe. Oh no, I just literally quickly had a little look at that first chapter there, and I'm getting flashbacks to that opening scene. Instead of just seeing it, I'm going to be reading about it in detail. It scares me. It scares me. It scares me. I love horror. I love horror films, but this scares me. It does. It scares me, so yeah. Then I'm also a bit intimidated by Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This is the first book in the Nevernight Chronicles series, and I've seen so much praise for this book, and I know it's one of Becca's favourite books, and it's one of the reasons why I picked it up, but I'm still... The writing's tiny. Why is the writing so small? Does it have to be that small? I love the map. Very nice map. I believe this follows Mia, and she witnesses death at a very young age, and then she's kind of trained to be an assassin later on at the Red Church of Itrea. This is why I shouldn't be reading adult books. Because I bet, I butchered that name. And there's people watching this video like, oh my god. She has to prove herself against the deadliest of opponents and survive murderers, liars, and demons at the heart of a murder cult. The premise, to me, sounds great. I can't wait to read it. But again, who needs a font size that small? And another reason why I'm kind of intimidated by this as well is that there are a lot of footnotes. I don't know if that's going to take me out of the story or not. So that kind of mixed format in the prose is really going to trip me up. I just know it will. So I'm kind of wondering, like, should I read the footnotes when it gets to that part of the sentence? Should I wait till I finish the page? Should I wait till I finish the book? Which I don't think that's the right option. I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. And that could really affect my rating, I think, of this. Another one that I'm kind of a bit wary of, but again, excited to read. Now the next one, I am so excited to read. I've heard nothing but great things about this one. But that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. And this one, it follows a girl called Rin. And I believe she also has to prove herself at a school. Yeah, she's accepted. She passes a test to go to this school, and that was a surprise to everyone for her to pass this test. Rin discovers she has these incredible powers, and she faces a lot of oppression. And I also know this is Jesse's one of Jesse's favorite books from Bow Ties and Books. They love this book so much, and I've seen the entire series. I think The Burning God is the third book. I think that's just come out. I've seen fantastic things about this entire series. I have. But again, this is big to me. Again, the writing's kind of small. I'm worried because this isn't like the kind of book I could just stick on an audiobook and just potter on and do things. I would have to pay full attention to every single word on the page for me to really take this in. So this is a book that I would have to find time to read. Same with a lot of the books on this list. But again, I know I'm going to love it. I know I'm going to love it. I'm just scared. I'm scared to read it. I do also have the sequel, The Dragon Republic, and I just know this is going to be a series that I'm going to end up wanting to read one right after the other, so I don't forget things that happened in the first book, the second book, because I'm also terrible for remembering things, especially if it's been a while since I've read them. So now that the third book is also out, I might be able to binge read all three of those books. I'm not sure if there's going to be more, but there is enough there for me to really sink my teeth into and to immerse myself in that world without me forgetting as time goes on. I am excited to read. I am really excited to read these, but again, I'm a wuss. One that has been so acclaimed, and it's quite a few people's favourite books, including Jay from Book Roast, and that is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm just scared. I'm just scared. It's big. I've heard great things. It's a lot of people's favourite books. If I say I don't like it, what will people think of me? That's the problem. And again, this is another book where it doesn't even really have a synopsis on the back. I hate it when they do that. It's also part 1 of the Kingkiller Chronicle. I believe there's going to be more books. There are a few in the series. I think I own them all. But there is going to be another one that's just been delayed and delayed and delayed. And just like A Song of Ice and Fire, or is it A Song of Fire and Ice? Damn it, I can't remember now. Just like that one, the next book is taking ages to come out. And I kind of don't really want to start a series where, like, a book isn't on the horizon, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't want to get to a point where I'm like, I need the next book right now. You know what I mean? But this is about a magically gifted young man who grows to be the most notorious wizard the world has ever seen. That doesn't tell me anything. He successfully gets entered into a legendary school of magic. His life as a fugitive after the murder of a king form a gripping coming-of-age story unrivaled in recent literature. That's a bold claim. Yeah, even just looking now on Goodreads, there's like 5-star, 5-star, 4.5 star, 4.5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 5 star, 4.5 star, 4.5, 4.5, 5 star, 5 star. There's just so many like really high ratings on this one. Yeah, a lot of people say that it's rich and detailed and all of this. So that's fantastic. I love my rich book, but sometimes it's not quite to my taste. Again, I find it hard to grasp things sometimes, especially in a dense epic fantasy. Hopefully this is one that I don't find goes right over my head. Because, again, I want to be one of those 5 stars, 4 stars, or something like that, I don't know. So the next one is actually a book that I have on my TBR, I'm reading it next week, but that is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Mistborn series. In fact, I would like to extend that and say all of Brandon Sanderson's books really intimidate me. I'm not sure if I really want to read them all, but I kind of do because I'm feeling so much FOMO. Becca is kind of forced me to read this one, not gonna lie. I am excited to read it. I really am. I've heard great things about Sanderson's writing style, but it's just like his entire world is just so much. He has so many books and oh my gosh, like I've read Skyward and Starsight, which are his young adult fantasies, sci-fi fantasy kind of thing, but I haven't read any of his epic fantasies, and there's just so many of them. So I think this is just set in a world where there is a tyrannical ruler and people are fighting back. That's all I know. I am going to read this next week. Whoa! I didn't actually realise the text would be like that. It's kind of like blocky. It's like blocky text. I'm not used to that. At least the writing isn't as small as Nevernight. And finally, this is a book I've mentioned quite a few times, mainly because it's been almost on TBRs, but that is Stephen King's It. And the reason I'm intimidated by it, or scared by it, is I love the first movie of It, didn't really mind the second movie of it. I just... I'm talking about the 2017 and 2019 movie, part 1, part 2. I liked part 1, wasn't the biggest fan of part 2. However, there were parts of part 2 I kind of liked. Anyway, I've heard so many mixed things about this, and there is definitely like a moment in this that I know it's just going to be so gross, and it's like it's been a big thing on the internet, and why is that in this book? I don't know. Again, I have a love-hate relationship with Stephen King's writing. I have finished The Stand, which is bigger than my copy of It anyway. I don't know if it's like a bigger book. I think it is a bigger book than It, if it's like the unfiltered and unedited version, I don't know. I'm so scared to read this, mainly because it's about 1,300 pages, and I'm wondering if all of that's necessary. Not gonna lie, I just think that what Stephen King has a habit of doing is he uses a lot of words. I end up questioning why he has to use all of those words. And I always think, I don't know, like half the time I'm thinking this is like some of the best stuff I've ever read, and half the time I'm thinking, why God, why? And I'm just worried that that's going to happen with It. I just think a lot of it's just going to be waffle. I'm wondering if maybe because I watched the movies and things, the impact will have been lessened, but I don't know, because I hate judging a book and a movie. I hate judging them both together and not watching one or not reading one because of the other. But with Stephen King's It, I've dodged the bullet with this one quite a few times. Most of the time it's been intentional. I genuinely think 70% of this book is just going to be so unnecessary. I have heard there will be many time jumps and the timing kind of like goes all over the place. I'm just scared of reading all of this just for it to be a waste of time. Like that's my main fear about reading these books. I just don't want to have wasted my time. There's so many amazing books that I want to read, and some of these books on this list I have heard are amazing. I'm just scared. I bet you there's a new favourite in this list as well. That's the last book on this list because, I mean, there's loads of them. There are loads more, but I just thought I would narrow it down to these ones because otherwise, if I went through all of them, you would think, Gav, what's wrong with you? Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment, let me know if you love any of these books, if there are any I should prioritize. I know I am getting to a lot of these relatively soon. I do want to get to them in the next few months at least. Well, for most of them, not all of them. But yeah, hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye.